Hello, and welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. Today I have a special little lesson for you, and I will be using Deco Art paints and tradition paints in lovely colors. I put them on a gray palette, and oops, sorry, I have some medium on there. I'm already rolling that around. Hopefully you can see these paints, and we'll run them along the bottom of the screen. I'm not quite sure what paint I'll be using yet. So we'll run those along the bottom of the screen so you can get your supplies ready when you want to follow along with me. I'll be using some simple one-stroke brushes. These brushes happen to be brand new. So just before I forget, let me tell you about brand new brushes. They have a sizing in them. So when you get your brand new brushes, just rinse them out a little bit in water and then dry them off and they're ready to use, okay? So you do want to get that sizing out. So I'm just going to rinse those a little and lay them on a paper towel for now. So what I'd like to do is just do a fun background, okay? Now I've already put a beautiful color called buttermilk, okay? Who doesn't love buttermilk, right? So I sponge painted this on. You can see I even missed a few places, which doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go over that with some nice gold paint, okay? And this is a metallic gold or traditions paint. And I'm just going to take my sponge, and I have a little paper towel back there. I'm going to try not to make a mess. And I'm just going to put this gold on top here. No rhyme or reason, doesn't have to be neat. I won't bother doing the edges now, okay? But what I want to do is I want to lay it on a little bit thick. I'm going to show you a nice little trick you could do with a paper towel just to get some texture on there. Now I haven't tried it with the gold yet, so I'm not really sure how much texture we'll get, but we'll give it a shot. So I squeezed up a couple paper towels. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo them here. I want to get these nice creases in here. So what I'm going to do is just rub the paper towel and lift. And let's see if we get a little bit of a texture. And I can see it. I'm not sure how much the camera will pick it up, but I can see a little bit of that texture. It's getting some of those streaks off from the sponge and giving it a nice little shine. All right, let me move this over a little and get a little bit. So I'm kind of dabbing now. I don't see the texture too much, but it's okay. I do see a little texture. So I don't need to use them all. I thought that I might, so I'm just rubbing and getting some of that paint off. And when it dries, if there's little bits from the paper towel, they just rub right off, okay? So I'm not sure if you can see a little bit of texture on there. I can, but that's just a simple way. All you have to do is scrunch up your paper towels, lay it down, and rub it. I think my choice of colors was a little bit too close in the same value, so when you try to do it, try to use two opposing colors or opposing values, a light and a dark, okay? So while this is drying, which we only need a couple minutes, I'm going to do something I haven't done yet, and I'd like to show you a couple of my my family pets that I painted, okay? This one is Belle, my son's girlfriend's dog, and this is an oil painting, a little tiny square by square, 12 by 12 square, and this is Belle. This is one of my pet portraits, and I'll show you our family cat, and his name is Kitty, okay? So I'm an animal portraitist, and unfortunately, these paintings sometimes take 6 to 10 hours. So on my show, come in and see all my tips and tricks for beginners and to learn. And, if you're interested in animal portraits or, learning more advanced work, you can always look me up. Okay, so that being said, we gave our background a couple minutes to dry, and we'll see if it's dry enough. I'm going to give it a shot. If not, then we'll take a little break and I'll come back to it. So now that my brushes have the sizing out of them, I'm going to start with this. This is a 3/4 brush, okay? This is a one-stroke brush, and I'm actually going to do a one-stroke style rose. I may change it around a little as I go. All right, I'm trying to see which way I won't leak my medium. Now this is just a blending medium. It makes the paint go a little further when you're painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip each side of the brush in the paint. I'm going to go right in the middle, I think. And I'm going to really load this brush up with a lot of paint because I know that background might still be a little bit wet. Okay, so I'm going to try this color out, See how it goes? That's a little orange. Today I wanted to get a little bit more red roses, and we'll see how that works. I'm going to put this down just for a minute so I can give it a shot. All right, so starting on the chisel edge of the brush, I'm just going to placing my pinky here and going to just put the brush flat down, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Now I can see I have a little bit too much paint on there this time. All right, so what I can do is I could just come in and try to get a little bit of that off, and I'm going to be going over that anyway. All right, here we go. So I'm going to do another petal, and I still see I have a little paint, extra paint, but I'm going to leave it for now. Same thing. I'm coming on a little bit of an angle here. Wiggle, wiggle. As you can see, I'm holding it like a pencil, and I'm wiggling. So this would be the outside layer of the rose, all right? I'm just coming back into my paint. I'm not going to keep lifting it up because it's going to drip around a little bit, all right? Here we go. I'm going to come to another petal. Now, I'll start on this side. Now, I'm going to try to do it sideways, okay? So we'll see how that goes. All right. So I'm a little bit on a weird angle for me, but I want to make sure that my hand is not in the way for you, all right? So I'm going to come up again on the side here. I'll try to do it this way now. And I'm wiggling. I'm going to turn my hand and see if you can see. So that's what happens if I turn too much. Also, you can see here I have a drip, okay? So I put a little bit, that just means I put a little bit too much medium, and that's okay. I can go back, and all I have to do is fix that up. And you know what? If I can't fix it, no problem. I'll put a leaf over it, all right? So let me come back again. I'm just going to squish my paint out a little. Try to dry that paint up just a little bit. This paint is so fluid, it's beautiful. All right, now, here we go. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Now, I can come back here and fix this up, all right? So I just want to do a simple rose here. And the way that you can do these simple roses is you can just learn one petal at a time. So if you're going to practice, just do one petal. All right, so what I wanted in this rose was I wanted to get some red in there, but still have a lighter color on the outside, all right? I'm not going to worry about this side over here. I think I'll fix a little bit. And I'll put a leaf there. All right, so here we go. Now, if I see that this doesn't show so much, I could always come in and put a little bit of a lighter color, all right? So in the meantime now, I'll go back in. I'm going to do the next strokes. Now, most of the time when I teach this, I teach one petal at a time and then overlap. For today's show, I just want to do it in a very simplified fashion, okay? There's lots of videos out there that you could take a peek at. Sometimes you learn a little different from other instructors, all right? Now, here, I'm just going to put in a rosebud, and you know what? I can't see that, so I'm going to try to get a lighter color. I'm not going to worry so much if the color doesn't match, okay? I want to make sure that you at least get this lesson, all right? So I'm going to take my orange corner of my brush, and I am putting it in some of that buttermilk color that I used for the first background. And I'm going to change this around again. Watch how easy this will be to change around. There we go, okay? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the color. So this is a good little lesson. If you see that things aren't working right, don't be scared. Go ahead and just try to change it up a bit. So I just put more of that buttercup color. There we go. I like that much better, okay? I had intended on doing red roses today, but you know what? That's okay. We'll change it a little bit. They come out pink, they come out pink. Here we go. There is another stroke. So petal, petal, petal. I think that shows much better now. All righty. And I'm going back. Every time I go back to my palette, which again, I'm not holding up, all I'm doing is just putting more paint and going back and forth in between the colors. Okay, so I got a little orange on there. So I'm just going back and getting my buttermilk color. I keep saying butternut. All right, so I'm going to come back up here. There we go. Watch how I change this around. All right, look at that. Much, much better. Back again, picking up a little more paint, and this will be the last one. All right, see how I'm wiggling and pushing, okay? So now we have that outside skirt. I think it's much better now. And now I'm going to come and do the rosebud. Now we should be able to see it. I'll make sure that I dip the corner in that color, in the buttermilk. And here we go. And I think you can see that. So let me get my palette. I really want to make sure you're understanding. So I just dipped that corner in there, and there's my medium flowing out a little. I'm going to move this back here. And here we go. Up and over. Now we can see it. And down and under. Okay? So now you can see it's starting to look like a rose. I'm going to hold this up here. I think it'll work better for me. And again, let me show you the little runway I have here. I'm going to try not to, I'm going to take this off a little, get that out of the way. And here we go. Here's my little runway. So I'm just going back and forth, okay? Move that out of the way again. I'm coming up to the top here. Now I'm going to make little strokes. I'm not pushing the brush. I'm still wiggling, wiggling, wiggling. And my dark corner is going back to the same spot. All right? I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm going to come on the other side. You can see I'm starting at the top. I'm wiggling, wiggling, wiggling. All right? And I need a little more light. So I'm just dipping in the light. I'm not going in that dark because it looks like there's enough. Here we go. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. All right. Back again and dipping in the corner. And I'm going to fill in this bottom of this skirt now. There we go. Okay. Now I can come in and I can fix up that center rosebud on the bottom. All right. And I just got some dark on there. And all I have to do is do my stroke over. There we go. Now you can see there's a little bit of depth. Now, see in here, I'm not sure if you can see, it's a little bit dry and all, but that's okay. I'm going to come in, put a couple extra strokes in there. All right, so just dipping back and forth again, same runway. I'm going to stand up on this chisel edge on one side or the other. I'm not sure which one you'll be able to see, but if you can't see this one, just wait 1 second and I'll do the other side. I'm standing up, I'm turning the brush, and I'm lifting to the chisel edge. That's a little tricky to do, all right? So I would get a piece of paper, maybe some oak tag, and try to practice. And now maybe this side you'll see better. I'll move my hand and I'll move it up the brush so you can see a little better. So I'm holding this up on the chisel edge. I'm leaning, and I'm pulling it down to the corner of that light, okay? Now, like I said, if you need to practice this, it does take practice. I would get some paper and just keep doing petal by petal by petal. Now I'm coming under and I'm scooping, and you could do a couple scoops in here, okay? So that would be it for a rose, okay? So it looks pretty. Like I said, I have some dry over here, but that's okay because I could put some little flowers on there too, all right? So what I would like to do is just do a couple of rosebuds around it, and then we'll go on and I'll show you how to do some leaves. Now, I'm just making sure I'm dipping my brush in the same puddle that I had before, and back and forth, loading the brush up again, okay? So maybe I'll put a rosebud, say, right over here. And hopefully you can see I'm trying to hold the brush a little at an angle. So up and over and down and under. Down and under. There we go. All right, so we have a nice rosebud. And then I can come around on the side, and we could even do a little scoops on the side, fill that in a little bit, which is not real necessary, but it does look nice, okay? So that one I can pull out a little bit. So maybe we'll do another one on the other side. So I'll go back again into my buttermilk color, and let's do one here. And I'll try to do it a little bit upside down. So we'll go up and over and down and under. All right, now we can put those little scoops in. And like I said, tons and tons of great videos out there on rosebuds. This is a simple way. It does take some practice, okay? So let me see. Now, I think I'm going to switch brushes, and I'm going to go to my smaller brush, all right? So this brush size is a 12 flat, all right? And I'm going to mix up a little bit of green. I actually ran out of the sap green I wanted to use. So what I'm using is another green here, which I forgot the name of. Sorry, this one is blue-green light, and this is the media fluid acrylics, okay? Also Deco Art. Now, I'm just going to take a little bit of this black and I'm going to put it into this green. And I'm going to make like a greenish color, all right? Because the black will tone it down. There we go. Now, what I would like to do first is I want to put some little calyx on here. So, we could put a little middle, little stem, little middle, little stem, and I can come in just with some simple leaves here just to fill that in a little, okay? So there is lots of different kind of calyx. There's some calyx you can go up and over. These would just be a little, and then you can just put in some little leaves on the side like this. I could go back and make those a little bit bigger there. All right. Now, what I'll do is wash out my red brush, okay? I'm just rubbing it back and forth on the bottom of this bucket, which has some, I don't know if you would call it a gritting, a grating on the bottom, and that really, really helps, okay? So what I would like to do now is do a couple of leaves. Now, I'm just gonna load up the brush with this color. I'm not worried that I had some red left in there, not even worried about it, okay? So what I wanna do is I'm just gonna make this kind of green color. It's not ideal, the color that I would want, but it's good just for this lesson to show you how you could do these leaves. So I'm loading the brush with this greenish color that I just made, and I'm going to dip one corner into that buttermilk. I want to lighten that one corner up, okay? So like I said, this color is not exactly ideal for this, but it would still look pretty, all right? So what I'd like to do now is I want to do a couple leaves. So it's the same wiggly motion that I did for the roses. And here I go. All right, so you can see I'm just wiggling. I'm thinking of the shape of the leaf. Now, I'll do the other side and I'll explain a little more. All right, that one I just kind of did without explaining enough, I think. So, now, I'm holding the brush on the chisel edge. I'm watching this outer edge of it, okay? And I'm wiggling, but always the dark green I'm making go back in the middle. And then coming up to the chisel edge. I'm going to do another one, okay, just to make sure that you saw every angle that you possibly could of that, all right? So again, I'm dipping back into my paint, and I have a little medium over here, and the medium will make that paint flow better. And let me get another one in, all right? So let's find a good spot. Maybe right about here you'll be able to see better. So if I want to put the leaf going upwards, I could always put a little marking here for myself, okay? And it's okay if I go on top of that rose. I'm wiggling, 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 and notice I'm lifting the brush and gently pulling to the chisel edge, all right? And I will do that other side. I'm gonna put a little bit more paint on that side and get a little more on the other side, okay? So you can see the brush and you can see the palette, how I'm doing that, all right? So again, here I go. Now I'm doing it kind of backwards and upside down. So we'll see, I'm wiggling, wiggling, wiggling. But see, that dark edge is always on the inside, okay? So I think that color, after all, is not so bad there. Here I go, I'm putting a little more paint on there. And I'm just going to come in on the chisel edge, and I'm going to pull a little vein in there, okay? So I think that's pretty good. 2 leaves, let's see. Oh, maybe we could put another big leaf in there. Let's put another one in there. And we'll try another different angle, and hopefully that'll be good. Now, what I ran out of paint here, so I'm just taking the corner, I'm just mixing it up a little more, pulling in some green. The coloring may not be the same, but like I said, in nature also, not all leaves are the same color. So let's see what we get. It might be pretty close, and if it's not, like I said, that's okay. All right, here we go. So let's do another leaf over here. So I could make this marking again, all right, just to show which way I'm going. Now I did it on the opposite, okay? See, so I had the light on the inside, but that's okay. I'm just gonna turn the brush this way. Here we go. Now, hopefully this is a better angle. Now here I go, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. See, I'm rubbing the brush back and forth and then lifting, lifting, lifting to the chisel edge, okay? Now, if your brushes are frayed, if they're old, then you won't be able to get this nice edge, all right? So it's nice to have new brushes, and there's lots of brushes you could do one stroke with. I was trained with these, so I'm kind of used to them. But there are a lot of nice brushes. All right, and here I go, wiggle, 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 and down to the chisel. Oh, no chisel edge that time, right? I actually did that on purpose. No, just kidding. So what I could do is, if I don't like that, I can come back and go back over again, and this time I'll go slower and lift, 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 and that's a little better, okay? So what happened is I put too much paint in there, all right? So I wanted it like this, but that's okay, not so bad. So I'm going to come back again, and let me get my little center in there. See, I just cleaned that up a little bit. Now, what I'd like to do is we'll just do some simple leaves, and maybe we'll put a couple up here. So push, turn, lift, push, turn, lift. I'm just laying the brush down. All right, there's 3 leaves. Going back, and I want to push some of that paint down. I'm pushing hard because that's how I lost my chisel edge. Oops, I just picked up a big portion of blue in there, so I'm going to have to wipe that out. I lost my chisel edge because I put too much paint that time, all right? So it's a little bit tricky sometimes, but with practice, you can do it. You could do this for sure. All right, so I'm just coming on my chisel edge. I'm going right in the corner here, getting a couple leaves in, okay? So I'm going to go back again, straighten my brush out. Maybe we'll come down here this time, and I'll try to even stand to the side more and get some leaves in there. Push, turn, lift. I like the way that one looked turned. All right, put another one maybe down here, and let me try to turn my hand, and another one. Now, not exactly the way I would like it, but that's okay. Like I keep saying, it's nature. Leaves are not always perfect. Flowers are not always perfect. See, so I just kind of turned it to go that way. So I think that makes a nice little composition there. Okay, nice coloring. I do actually like that color, the way it came out after all right? So what I can do now is I'll go back to my small brush. And since I showed you the rose, I showed you the big leaves, all right? Let's do some little wiggle flowers. And we call these filler flowers because these are fun. We could put these on anything, all right? Anything you don't like, you can do these wiggle flowers. It's wonderful. So I'm going to need some white paint, all right? So this is the snow white, and this is titanium white, all right? And the Americana from DecoArt, of course, again. Okay, well, my paint today is from DecoArt. It's beautiful paint. Now, what I'm going to do is a couple of wiggle flowers. I'm going to move my palette in the back here so it's out of my way. So I may want to put a little bunch of flowers. So I'm going to, again, double load the brush, all right? And let me try to hold that up so you can see. You can see this pathway right here, all right? I'm putting more white than blue. So it's 3/4 white to 1/4 blue. And I'm going back and forth. All right, there we go. I'm going to dip again in the white. So maybe right here, I'd like to put a little wiggle flower. So I'm just going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, it is kind of the same motion, but less wiggle, all right? Now, notice how I'm keeping that blue in the middle. All right, that's what we want. We want that blue. So I'm going back, I'm dipping in the white, dipping in the blue, going back in my runway there, okay? And I'm doing 1, 2, and I'm coming back up, 3, let's see if I could get through without paint, 4, and I want to dip in that white, and there's my 5 petals. And I'll come back and I'll do a little something in the middle there, all right? So I do have a few more minutes. I'm going to do a few more flowers, and let's see. I think we'll put, let's put one, let's put it right next to it. All right, it's okay if we overlap. There we go, and I'm going to do these a little faster. Here we go. There's a nice little petal. So it is kind of the same motion as the rose, but it's smaller. So you don't have to wiggle as much. You're just kind of laying the paint on. All right, I'm dipping again in the white. Now notice I'm keeping that blue in the middle because that's going to be the center. All right, here we go. Now this one, I'm doing 4. There goes my 5-petal flower theory. Now it's 4. That's okay too, right? Now let's come over here and let's put another one over here. All right, so hopefully, let me hold this brush a little higher. And there we go, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's less wiggles, less movement. Wiggle, wiggle. And wiggle, wiggle. Look, I'm going right over the rose. That's okay. Just want to make a little pretty picture. And then we'll recap a little, okay? So I have 3 pretty flowers on there, all right? And I would put some curly cues on there too, which is always fun, all right? So what I can do for these middle flowers is, this is a nice orange paint. I can just come back in. I just dipped it in the back of my brush. And I can just come in and there we go, dot the middles, okay? So one more thing I would like to show you on this pretty little composition is I like to do some curlicues. Now when you do curlicues, I've taught these in oil, and I think I have taught them in acrylic before. You need a script liner. Okay, let me make sure that sizing is out of there. The script liner has to be wet, okay? And you just come in and wiggle it around. Now, you have to roll it out, and I don't think that's wet enough, so I'm going to come in, add a little more. It should be a milky consistency. If it's too much, it's going to drip, so we'll see. Now, I'm going to lift my arm and make sure that paint runs down. So I'll just find a spot here, and I'm going to place my finger down, and I'm just going to, on the tip of it, come in and do a little wiggle. Now, when you do this, it does make it look like a little more folk art, and if that's not the look you like, then maybe you wouldn't put them in, but you can keep adding. I'm going to go right over, give a little depth to that picture, okay? To that rose, and maybe do another one here, all right? Now, while you have this brush in your hand, again, you come back into your watery paint, and this brush you would use to sign your painting. So I'm going to do some nice big letters here. Come back again, roll it again, and there we go. Okay, so today you learned how to do a rose, the big rose leaves, rosebuds, 1-stroke leaves, and some 4- and 5-petal flowers, and some curlicues, okay? So I'd like to thank you for tuning in today, and feel free to write to me if you have questions, and take a peek at other people who paint roses, because you can learn so much from everybody and then put it all together and do your own beautiful roses. Thanks again.